There was a time where the thought of Nintendo making mobile games was nothing more than a pipe dream. But now we've had Miitomo, Fire Emblem Heroes, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, Super Mario Run, Dragalia Lost, and Dr. Mario World. Not all of those shared the same success, I mean Miitomo is dead, but a game like Mario Kart is just too big to ignore. Mario Kart games are always among the best selling on any platform, so imagine the audience it could reach without being tethered to Nintendo hardware. The appeal is obvious, and it definitely caught on with it having the biggest mobile launch of all time. But here's a question. Is Mario Kart Tour actually good? Well, that answer's a little complicated. Other mobile games like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp took the spin-off approach and delivered something that resembles the core series but without the scale of a full-fledged release. Mario Kart Tour, on the other hand, is flat-out Mario Kart. It looks like Mario Kart, it feels like Mario Kart, and heck, it even remasters old tracks while introducing a few new ones of its own, just like a mainline Mario Kart. And it looks really good. Some tracks like Daisy Hills have never been in HD before, and they're pretty outstanding to drive through. There's even characters like Pauline making their Mario Kart debut. Mario Kart Tour seems like an ambitious, mainline entry with way more than you'd expect from a free-to-play mobile game. So what's the catch? The catch is, I really don't like it. Because it's so similar to the core games, it becomes comparable to them, amplifying its faults even further. Mario Kart Tour's controls feel extremely unintuitive. They give you two core options and neither of which feel particularly good. For example, the drifting option they give you doesn't allow you to turn normally, so if you want to make small adjustments, you have to shift your entire kart. Like imagine playing regular Mario Kart with your finger always on the drift button. There are deeper options hidden in the settings, but finding the right setup is pretty cumbersome. I tried playing with Gyro, but every movement feels like I'm oversteering. I was sliding all over the place with barely any control over my kart. I found turning smart steering off made things a bit more comfortable, as the game isn't always trying to correct your movements that way. But even then, smart steering isn't completely off. It's still trying to control it for you, just to a lesser extent. Once I found something that worked for me, it felt okay, but also extremely simplistic. All you really do is turn and use items. It's simple enough for casual one-handed play, but the Mario Kart series prides itself on control, and what they've delivered here feels like a huge, restrained letdown. They've developed some very strange systems around the core game. For instance, as of this review, you don't actually play against human-controlled players. The game takes names from actual people playing the game, but you're racing against bots. So if you were curious why you kept coming in first place, well, that's probably why. You can even turn off your phone screen mid-race and go straight back, and there's no problem. It's as if every other racer paused their game too. It's also hard to ignore the gacha system. Just like most free-to-play mobile games, Mario Kart Tour showers you with in-game currency to start with, and then throws you in jail an hour or so later and gives you scraps. Pulling for a character costs 5 rubies, the iconic Mario currency, and to begin with you'll be getting rubies all the time. Then you reach a point where you either get no rubies, or 3 rubies, which of course isn't enough to do anything. Even when the game introduces the challenge system, in which you get rewards for performing specific achievements, prizes are distributed at a snail's pace. So of course the solution is to spend money. The gacha pool itself is pretty gross, so there's a 5% chance of getting the lower end characters, 1% for the high end, and then 0.3% for the super rare characters. And if you're super unlucky like me, then you'll barely get any characters and instead be stuck with kart parts. And you can get duplicate pools too, so these characters never get any easier to obtain. There is a 1% chance of getting Mario in Mario Kart. You know, the guy who's in the title of the game. That may sound rough, but for only $20 or £20, you can guarantee yourself Mario in addition to 9 gacha pools. And yes, with those pools, you are still against the odds of getting any characters with them. $20 to guarantee yourself Mario in Mario Kart. Let that sink in. This may be a free game compared to a full $60 release, but money has never felt so intrusive in Mario Kart. It's not just that I want to play with certain characters. Each track is easier if you have the ideal character. If I use Toad on Koopa Troopa Beach, I'll just get 1 item whenever I pass through an item box. If I'm Koopa though, not only will I get 3 items per box, but if those 3 items match up like a slot machine, you gain invincibility and can temporarily use as many of those items as you like in that time. And yes, that does mean if you get 3 blue shells, you can throw infinite blue shells. An in-game slot machine just about summarizes Mario Kart Tour's approach to progression, and it goes beyond just how you perform in a race. See, coming first isn't necessarily the goal of Mario Kart Tour. You gain stars for how well you do, and these stars let you progress to new cups. Coming first certainly helps in getting enough points to earn those stars, but you'll also be ranked on drifting, gliding, hitting items, and also stringing all of those together in a combo. And you also get ranked on having the ideal character in the ideal kart. this isn't minor either. Like for Bowser's Castle 1, if my cart's completely maxed out and I'm playing as Bowser, then that alone gives me half the points I need to pass the track. If you're unlucky or haven't bought your way into Mario Kart Tour, you'll perform worse, you'll have a much more boring roster, and you'll have a worse time, all while the game itself isn't particularly good. Multiplayer's not even available yet as of this review, but if these elements carry over then it's really not going to be fair. There's even item tickets you can buy, and using them gives you an item at any time. Imagine that in multiplayer. Oh, and hey, on top of all these microtransactions, there's also a subscription service that costs more than Switch Online. So what do you get? Well, the biggest thing is the 200cc speed is locked behind it. It may be free to play, but this isn't a free game, not by a long shot. Now, underneath all the heavy monetization, Mario Kart Tour does have some redeeming qualities. While the track pool is pretty low at the moment, they have found some interesting ways to avoid repetition. Outside of a mission mode in Mario Kart DS, the single player of Mario Kart has never been particularly good. And to Tour's credit, what's here isn't bad. You'll still be racing the majority of the time, but every now and then you'll be sliding through hoops, bowl down Goombas, or try to glide for as long as possible. They're all over fairly quickly, but it's a good step forward for single player Mario Kart. A great thing in this game's case, a single player is currently the only way to play. They even revitalized mirror mode. Instead of just playing a mirrored version of tracks, you're actually playing them in reverse with new elements added in to make them playable. These are really cool ideas. And while I haven't had much luck earning them, the roster's not looking too bad either. Diddy Kong's making his first playable appearance since Mario Kart Wii, and while there are some glaring omissions, they'll undoubtedly be added soon. For instance, characters like Morton and Ludwig are referenced in fake in-game advertisements, but aren't actually playable in the game yet. Heck, Luigi's on the startup screen, but isn't playable. Luigi, the second Mario brother who has been in every single Mario Kart game, isn't currently playable in Mario Kart. They're probably saving him for something, but it's very bizarre. Now, Tour mostly relies on tracks that come from previous games in the series, and while a lot of them come from Mario Kart 7, it is cool to see them with this beautiful visual makeover. For as much as I have against it, this is one smooth-looking mobile game, though there are of course some new tracks. A big gimmick of Mario Kart Tour is the new tracks have you touring around the world with tracks based on New York, Tokyo, Paris, and also seemingly London. As of right now, we've only been able to experience New York Minute, and it's not very good. It looks exciting at the start with a giant Donkey Kong screen and advertisements everywhere just like in Times Square, but that's all a mask for one of the most mundane and boring courses in the entire series. I don't want this track in Mario Kart 9. I'll take the objective-based single player and additional characters, but this track is not good enough for Mario Kart. But of course, we are judging Mario Kart Tour at the time of its launch week. Perhaps later tracks will show a bit more promise, but the underlying game is just so tedious, and I don't think that's going to change over time. If you're someone who doesn't own a Nintendo console and just wants a quick Mario Kart fix, I guess this is it. It comes with a lot of roadblocks and isn't anywhere near as fun to control as the console games, and for me, it just made me want to play Mario Kart 8 again. I disliked Mario Kart Tour. It looks like a quality Mario Kart game, but it isn't particularly fun to play, and the aggressive monetization is so prominent that it intrudes on the experience. The last new Mario Kart game may have been 5 years ago with Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, but this isn't even worth a pit stop to me. Mario Kart is better than this. So, do you agree with our review, or do you think that Mario Kart Tour has a lot more going for it? Let us know down below, and of course be sure to subscribe to Game Explained for a lot more on Mario Kart Tour and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye!